Alright, so here's a product review that kind of combines my prepper stuff and survivalist prepper stuff, off-grid cabin stuff, and the Ikea stuff that you'll see on a lot of my videos because I make part of my living assembling Ikea furniture for clients in the Portland area. One of the things I'm going to go over though is something I got when I was at the Ikea store shopping for parts for stuff, which is happened on a day when there was some pretty big windstorms in the Portland area which knocked out power. And I was returning some unused merchandise, so I got one of those things where you got to spend store credit. It takes too long for them to put it back on a credit card. What I had looked at earlier in that day were these candle lanterns, which I thought, well, they're 20 bucks each and kind of overpriced, and I wasn't really wasn't very enthusiastic about that. I went back and I realized that what I had seen was next to some other stuff that was for sale, and that these candle lanterns, I had mistaken the Swedish word and the pricing and stuff. These candle lanterns were actually only about $5 each, and they're, according to the stuff on the bottom, they're made in Vietnam. Dirt simple sheet metal, kind of a lightweight sheet metal design, real glass here. The way this opens here, and then of course they use a relatively common what's called a tea candle. Now these things come with a little metal cup. This metal cup can be reloaded with new wax. You can just put new wax and a new wick on there. There's no molding necessary. You just pour it in. And so you can actually reload these candles if you're capable of making new wax, and there's a number of methods that you can do that with. Then you can make a new flame element. You can reload these candles, which is kind of interesting. The other thing is that because this is real glass, this isn't plastic lenses on here, there's what some people would call a durability issue, but you get a nice little windscreen in this, and its light is okay but not wonderful. And what I found with using these when the power was out is that the glass helped retain heat. And heat in these things very quickly builds up in the top, so this almost becomes like a heating element too. It doesn't go so far that it would like melt it off of something, but these are relatively stable as far as sitting here goes. Relatively bottom heavy so that they're not as likely to tip over or get blown over in a wind. I had a little bit of an issue with airflow inside and wick size. They don't throw out a whole lot of light. You wouldn't want to really read and do a lot of other stuff by the light that's in these, but it's enough that you're not going to be stumbling in the dark. If you have this in an enclosed area, you're not going to be stumbling in the dark. If you're trying to light up an outdoor area, kind of pushing it, but they could kind of serve as a little signal lamp. You set them on the ground, and you could kind of sort of serve as a signal lamp, but if there's car headlights around, it's going to overdo it. But they're a pretty slick little thing, and it turned out they're only about $5 each. Now, the candles come in this big pack here. You get 100 of them for about, I think, $3, so just pennies per candle on these things. You can really afford to get a pretty large supply of these for not much money. And so what I did was I bought a bunch of these lanterns. I used the green ones for outdoors, the silver for indoors, because it kind of matches the style in some of my survival retreat stuff. And it's just a no-brainer, especially if you have an Ikea store nearby. Now, if you're going to pay for shipping on these, you may not see the justification for the shipping cost. But if you have an Ikea store and they have these things around for the holidays now as a non-electric holiday light, I'd say it's a great idea. And they're so dirt cheap. They're great to have around even if you're not going to use them as your holiday lighting. I'm kind of inclined to use these as holiday lighting because it's a heck of a lot safer than having open candles. And of course you have the benefit of the heat retention. Each one serves as a small heater because the amount of heat that builds up on the metal housing, and that's pretty good.